Hey, it's Lisa, and welcome to another episode of Nashville on the Rocks. Today we're talking with someone who we would describe as a true artist, someone who is fiercely dedicated to authenticity, integrity, and honesty through their craft. As a musician, songwriter, and producer, he's been creating his own musical path. Whether he's playing and performing his own music across the U.S. in his own bands, he's also collaborated with or supported other notable artists such as Chuck Wicks, Jameson Roberts, and the Freddie Jones Band, to name a few. His brand new podcast, Rock and Roll War Stories, is his compelling narrative of his experiences on the road, making music, and touring. And it has fast become one of my favorite podcasts. Please welcome our friend, Michael J. Hey, Michael. Oh my God. Thank you so much for making time to come back into the studio. This is very exciting for us. So, little spoiler, we were here a couple weeks ago and we did have some technical malfunctions. Mm-hmm. So we've already done this once, but no one knows that, but now they do. But you're here again, and that's all that matters.
That's right. And now it's scripted. And
it's
we're just going to
scripted.
be, there's a teleprompter behind you.
Right. So you know everything in advance, and word for word, you know what you're going to say.
I am not reading this off of a card.
So it's perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming back to Nashville on the Rocks, making some more time.
Of course.
Curving some time out of your schedule to hang out with us.
Of course.
We missed you. That's what it was.
My pleasure. Yeah. I mean, I knew that. Like next week, I'm going to get a call going, hey, it didn't work again.
Conveniently, man, the shit was eaten again.
It didn't work.
You guys don't have to promise a podcast in order for me to come and hang with you.
Right. Oh my God. We could actually just maybe invite you over.
Hey, what are you up?
Right. Yes. What are you doing?
What's up?
I want to let people know what you do. You're a master of many talents. You have a lot of things going on right now. And so where do we start? What should we start around? Let's tell people a little bit about you. So you're a musician, you're a singer, you're a songwriter, you play some badass guitar, you got some new music coming out, you have your own podcast called Rock and Roll War Stories, which I love that name. That's such a cool name.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've been hanging around Nashville for what, 10 years?
10 years now. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Great. Okay. Well, let's dive a little bit into your background. So, you being the musician that you were always a musician, right?
I started super early.
Okay.
Yeah. As soon as I was able to stand up, I was putting my dad's tennis racket, tying a shoestring around it, putting it around my neck, and playing records on my parents' little turntable and standing on their bed and pretending I was having a little concert with them.
Who were you pretending you were?
I don't really. Just myself. No, this is really going to date me, but I was listening to Partridge Family records and the Bay City Rollers and shit from the 70s.
Badass.
Yeah. That was what was happening then. But no, I think and I talk about this on my podcast a little bit. My podcast is sort of it's basically my life story. It's kind of, it's entertaining stories. You don't have to be a musician to appreciate it. You don't have to even you don't even have to know much about music. It's not a music centric podcast. There are music stories and that kind of thing, but it's just my
Well, that's another thing too, is that you're such a badass storyteller. You tell great stories.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know whether I really knew this or not.
Really?
To be honest with you, no. I mean, it's the podcast started as an idea to write a memoir.
Okay.
And I've been making lists of these things because at a certain point, when you have enough weird shit happen to you, you kind of go, little light bulbs go off and you go at first you think this must happen to everybody.
Yeah.
But the more that I went on and I told some of these stories to some people, and I just saw the looks on their faces oh my God, and in particular, there's a friend of mine from Gainesville. I told one of the stories that I told on the podcast. It was a gig mishap story. One of my first touring gigs in Nashville. And when I got done with it, he was like, I was riveted by that. Mm-hmm. You should think about, have you thought about writing a book or a memoir? And so after he said that, I started making lists of some of these crazy things that had happened, going all the way back to, my earliest childhood memories and
That's
and then the
crazy.
earliest experiences with my first band and all that kind of thing. And then
It's chronological?
it's not linear, so it does
Okay.
bounce around quite a bit, but it does go all the way back and it jumps in time.
It hits the right points, though.
I think so. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Because I've listened to a few episodes now, and
Have
I'm
you?
like,
Okay.
yeah, like you start out like, well, to tell everybody, so like you start out with like, being on tour, and then you kind of work backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've been on tour for a long time. I've been traveling and doing all that kind of thing. But
that.
initially it started as a memoir, and then I thought to myself, I've been doing podcasts going back to 2009. I had a podcast when I lived in Gainesville that it ran a few episodes and it didn't really, and those were the early days of podcasting.
early days.
And I don't even know
That's
why
crazy.
I thought about doing it, but I've always been good on a microphone, and I've always been told I have a pleasant sounding voice, so
You're very natural at it.
well, it's not always. It's tough. And this is like, my podcast is written, so I have to get in and read it. And it's the funniest thing. You figure out all the strong points of your writing as soon as you start trying to read it.
Sure.
And it's like, you go,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that could read a little bit better. So it does take quite a while. And sometimes, your mouth doesn't work the right way.
Well, it's like you start maybe getting tripped up on your words or something. No, I totally understand that. But like when your editing or your process or however you do it is pretty awesome. So I highly recommend everybody to check out your podcast, Rock and Roll War Stories. And it's available on all platforms.
All platforms, yeah, everywhere.
And that's so cool. Okay, so what do you want to start with first? How about, you have your podcast, you go back, so we can hear a little bit about you're from Rochester, which is the place that I'm from.
Yeah.
And that Dan's from.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. And you've been making music since you were a kid.
I've been doing it forever, and I found I was adopted when I was born, and so it started from there. It's like my father that raised me is a jazz saxophonist, so there was always jazz in the house. There was always
That's cool.
He was always playing gigs around town with guys like Steve Gadd, and didn't play gigs with Steve. Steve Gadd would sit in with his band when Steve was a young kid. So. All those kind of things were going on around in my periphery. And my uncles at the same time were in college, and they were listening to all the rock of the day. So like The Who, the
coolest
Beatles, the
music
Stones, all that,
out
Tom
there.
Petty and the Heartbreakers. So I wanted to listen to what they were listening to. So I made my parents get me this little radio, put by the side of my bed. And I grew up just hearing, there's just music around at all times. And it's just
Sure.
always something I wanted to do. Turns out years later, when I found my birth parents, in my 30s, my birth father was in a band called Toronto, which was a huge band. It was a Canadian band, but a huge band in like the late 70s, early 80s. They had videos on MTV when MTV first came out. And unbeknownst to me, the studio that I did all my recording in out in Rochester in Ontario, a place called GFI Studios, with a guy named Tony Gross, who became Exploding Boy, my band's manager. My birth father's gold records were on the walls of the studio, and I didn't know that I didn't know it. His picture was on the covers. It was
That's
all right there
crazy.
under my nose. So I have it. It's nature and nurture for me. It's music in the house, but also,
that's an insane thing.
And all my half brothers and sisters, consequently, too, are like incredibly musical, incredibly artistic people. So I think it's definitely a genetic thing for sure. There's no question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hopefully I'm not rambling too much, but that's,
that's just, no, not at all. I find it so fascinating. That's kind of, that's a lot to think
it is
of.
crazy. And so things like that would happen, which kind of clued me into the fact that I probably should try to tell these stories, because I don't think after a while I started to get a sense
How often does that happen to people?
Well, never, you know? So I started to get a sense that some of these things were happening to me were just good stories.
Well, that's the thing. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I felt like I was understanding what you're talking about. Like, how often does something like that happen?
Right. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So, like I said, it started as a memoir idea, but being that I was into the podcasting thing, it just made sense to me. I'm like, this might be it might be better presented to people as a 25-minute, 30-minute tops kind of weekly sort of thing.
Sure.
And then if it's going to become a written thing, that could always happen later.
Yeah. Like small nuggets of information.
Kind of. Yeah. And I purposely
chapters.
I purposely kept it short. and people seem to be responding to it better than anything I've ever done.
Oh,
I've had all sorts of people reach out to me, and not even some people I don't even know who they are.
that's cool.
You know, in places like TikTok. I had a guy last night reach out and just say, hey, I've listened to all 10 episodes of your podcast.
Oh, wow.
Hope there's more. I'm like, yeah, I don't know who you are, but that's awesome. You know?
No, that's great. I love it when someone is sends you like little messages like that, because I feel like it keeps you, you know, like you're on the right path of like doing what you want to do.
I feel like I am. I've done a lot of shit, and I'm sure DA has too. And it's like, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, DA, but like, I kind of know when I'm on the right path. Like it's a great idea becomes a great idea all by itself. And it seems like it's like self-actuating. Like it just kind of takes on a life of its own. And that's how this podcast has felt to me. Like I don't really feel like I've put much work into it, if that makes any sense to you.
Work being in the sense that it's like
it's flowing out of me. It's
Yes.
not. I'm not really overthinking it or
struggling with it, toiling over it.
Not at all. I mean, there's obviously some thought that goes into it, because I want things to be structured well, and I want from week to week, I want clever titles, and I want clever, I do each episode starts with a set of like a small set of lyrics from something that I've like a song, a famous rock song or a famous whatever that I feel kind of applies to the stories I'm about to tell, or sort of like ties in a little bit. So
sure.
I just knew that this was a good idea out of the gate. It's a very strange feeling to be hawking my story. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I've just done music for so long, and I feel like the thing that's getting me the most attention of maybe anything I've ever done is like just telling my story, which seems like it's easy for me. So
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like if you don't
it
work,
becomes fun, man. Like if you've got a good idea, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
it just becomes fun, and you're creating something. So you're constantly moving forward, and
Right.
kind of, I think it's a neat thing when you're just publishing this stuff, man. It's like leaving your legacy.
kind of, yeah.
When you're gone, man, there's going to be these cool stories in your voice. And I just think that's really important, man, to be an artist and to create things, man. So the podcast
it's
is
been
part of it.
incredibly powerful for me. It's I don't know, storytelling to me is such a human thing. It's such an important thing. If you think about how our whole society is structured, it's like we're all about like watching shows and it's all storytelling.
Yep.
Everything.
Listening to
storytelling.
audiobooks.
Exactly. And so
Reading books.
I've always been into that kind of thing. So it's nice to know that I'm good at it. I don't know whether, like I said, I don't know whether I really knew that until people started kind of coming out of the woodwork en masse to tell me like, you're an amazing storyteller.
Sure.
I never really thought I've always think of myself as scattered, you know?
No, I understand that. It's like maybe the one thing that you're thinking about or shooting for. The other stuff comes easy to you.
Yeah.
But that's why you're not thinking about it.
Well, right.
You know? And that's something that I think there's something to be said for that. So I think that's really fantastic. And just going back to like you growing up in Rochester and like with your birth father and your adoptive family, which is your family.
Yeah, sure.
So. And your dad just being a musician, there was music everywhere. So like, when did you start really getting into music?
I took piano lessons when I was 3.
Oh my God.
My parents were very good about exposing us to everything. I have an adopted sister as well. They adopted me at birth. They adopted my sister 5 years later, and then my mother had a surprise. My younger brother was born, so he came along a long time after the two of us did.
Oh, cute.
But they were very much of the opinion that like expose the kids to everything, and the thing that they pick, go that direction with it. And so there was a piano in the house when I was growing up, and I was fascinated with the piano. They couldn't keep me away from the piano. So they figured let's put him in piano lessons. And so I just remember being fascinated by music when I was a kid. I just couldn't, and I was making up my own little things at like 3 or 4.
Oh, that's cool.
I was in lessons, but I wasn't paying attention to the lessons ever. I was always like just trying to find a note and then another note that would, that go along with it. And one day in 3rd grade, they offered guitar lessons at my school. And so I went home with the flyer, and I was like, my parents were like, we want to have you in some kind of music lessons or something. And so I begged them to let me take guitar. And I knew, this is another story from the podcast, but I knew the second when I walked back into the classroom, we went down to the gym to get our little classical guitars for the, meet the teacher. And when we walked back into the classroom, I think there were like 6 of us. We paraded in front of all the other kids, and they were all like, ooh, cool. That's, cool. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I know it. So guitar, and then guitar just became...
That became your number one thing.
My number one thing, yeah. I can play keys. I'm maybe better on keyboards than I am on guitar just because I don't do it as much. Sometimes you get in a rut when you're, in the instrument that you play all the time. But I live, eat, breathe, sleep guitars. I could look at guitars all day. I think they're the most beautiful things. They're like sports cars to me. Like or women. They're just really amazing to have around.
Totally. And they're always visually appealing.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Unlike men who are utilitarian.
Oh my gosh.
They're only meant to lift things, I hear, right?
Right.
That's right.
Yeah. Can you open this jar, please?
Yeah,
exactly.
That
part of it too.
There's a nail here that I got to get out of the wall.
Yeah, exactly. You can bring the groceries in.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm coughing. So when did you start singing?
I've always sung. Always. My father he had a reel-to-reel tape recorder in their bedroom, and he used to record me. And I have recordings of me from when I was 2.
That is so sweet.
Just singing along with everything. I always sang. It was just what I did. So, and I didn't know I was any good at that either until I did it, I think in a school play or something.
Okay.
And as soon as I did, everybody after the play, it was like, I think it was Captain Hook and Peter Pan when I was a kid, and everybody was like, "You have an amazing voice," and I was like, "I do." You don't know. How do you know? You know, you don't know anything when you're that age. But so it's just something I've always done.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. So you started playing piano, guitar. You're singing.
Yes.
And then when did you start doing like rock music or like getting involved in like, something other than what they were teaching you in school?
I started my first band when I was like 13 or 12. Okay. Like I found it's
pretty early.
Yeah, we moved into a new neighborhood when I was in the 3rd grade, I think. And there was a kid who lived across the street who had a drum set. And so I was like, I found my drummer.
Right.
And then, as luck would have it, the bass player who ended up playing in my band, Exploding Boy, for forever. I knew him from like nursery school.
Oh, wow.
And so he actually lived somewhere else, but then moved into the same neighborhood where the drummer and I lived.
Oh, perfect.
And I was like, you should play bass, because we needed a bass player. And so he went home, and he was cool with it. He went home and asked his dad. His dad was also a sax player.
Oh, nice.
Bought him a bass.
Okay.
And so we had our band.
Oh my gosh.
And we used to put on little shows for the kids in the neighborhood, and we'd do like a New Year's Eve show every year for all my aunts and uncles, all the cousins in my family's basement that we would rehearse for all year long.
Oh my gosh.
And every year would be like the big thing. Like, oh yeah, are you psyched for New Year's? It's like our big show.
Oh my God, that's adorable.
Yeah. So we did that for a long time. And we weren't even, we were, again, 12 or 13, 14 maybe tops.
Yeah, I know. And it's like adorable's the wrong word, but like it's adorable.
We probably were adorable. I don't know. Or maybe we weren't. I don't know. No idea.
Well, it's like when you were that small, you know what I mean?
Badass.
Badass. That's what I meant to say.
I wouldn't go that far. I do have recordings of that stuff that no one will ever hear.
Well, and where in Rochester did you grow up?
Irondequoit.
Irondequoit. Yeah. East or west?
East Irondequoit.
East. And babe, you're from West Irondequoit.
Yeah, I'm from the west side.
West side.
That's probably why we weren't best friends growing up.
Dude, we would have been. I know for sure. For sure we would have been.
Dude, that's so funny.
I could have been in an Exploding Boy. You could have ended up in Diamond Tier.
We would have been a way better band with you in it.
Oh my God, you guys
Can you
just
imagine that
swapped.
shit? That's hilarious, man.
So funny. So funny.
Living similar like paths in a way.
Totally.
But yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Man.
But with like a little bit different music, because Exploding Boy, like what were some of your influences?
We started out as like an alternative, like on the our big influences were like U2 and The Cure and the Smiths and all that kind of stuff. So it was like a I don't even know what you call it. It's like early alternative, like 80s alternative rock kind of stuff.
Love it.
And so, yeah, the Police, we loved the Police. REM was a big band for us. We kind of drew from a lot of different things. Like we were huge Rush fans.
Yeah. So were you always a 3-piece then?
Yeah. I mean, the first band with the first drummer didn't end up lasting. And so when I started high school, I met this kid named Jason. I went to McQuaid in Rochester.
Okay.
And I met this kid outside of a classroom. He had a boombox with him, and we had the same biology teacher or something. He was a sophomore and I was a freshman, and we were like, it was like after hours. We were meeting with the teacher to discuss some grades or discuss some kind of project or something. And so he was getting ready to go in. I was like after him, and he goes, "Hey man, can you keep an eye on my radio, my boombox?" I'm like, "Sure." So I look down at this boombox, and it's got a Rush sticker on it. And so he comes out of his little thing, and I was like, "Rush, I love Rush." And so we got to talking, and he's like, "Well, I'm a drummer." And I'm like, "Well, I play keyboards and guitar, and I'm looking to start a band." And so we started kind of like playing together. I think I made a play date with him. I don't know if you call that in high school, a play date,
right.
But I had to be driven. I had to be driven to his house. I wasn't driving age yet. So my mom dropped me off, and we got together and played. And then we had a couple of false starts with some other kids in our school that wanted to start bands, and none of that ever worked. And so, being the Rush fan that I am, I'm like, "Hey, I know a bass player, our friend Anthony, or my friend Anthony." So I told Anthony about this kid that I met, and Jay ended up, he's a great drummer, really
cool.
great drummer. And so we started our band in high school and played at a field day event at the end of our first year of high school. That was like just in the parking lot. They would have like, they auditioned, you had to audition for it, and they had like 3 or 4 bands. And so we did a set out there. And then after that, people hired us for their graduation parties. And after the graduation parties, I credit Jason, the drummer, with the fact that we didn't end up just a high school band. We could have been a flash in the pan high school band. He was like, "We should be playing nightclubs," and
cool.
we weren't. I think he was the only one driving at that point.
Were you like? I mean, obviously it was something that you liked, and it's something that you enjoyed, and it meant so much to you. Were you thinking long term about it, or were you just?
No, I don't really.
Were you just in the moment?
I mean, I think we all had the dream of like, oh, we can be famous and we could be rock stars. I could ask DA about that. Like, I don't know. I don't remember the mindset.
Right.
I just remember thinking, I like this. And I think I felt that there was something special with the 3 of us. And I only realized after we had broken up many, many years later that, we did have that it thing, some bands, don't have it, but we had that thing that was just a special chemistry between the 3 of us, and I think the music, at first it wasn't that great, but I think over time it finally, the music caught up to the thing we had as a band.
Sure.
So I don't know. I just remember Jason being very adamant, like, we need to get we find a recording studio. We need to like make a record. Because there were records at that point.
Yes.
And we need to push this and play in. We could be playing clubs. We could be doing all this stuff. And so by the time I wasn't even 16 years old, we started playing this place in downtown Rochester called Idols. And it's not there anymore. But it was over on Liberty Pole Way, just downtown. I almost said downstairs. It was downstairs from the dance club that was upstairs. But we weren't even old enough to be in the building. And the club owner at the time, who I actually am still in touch with on Facebook now, still around, he agreed to book us and liked us so much. He saw whatever the thing was in us that everybody was obviously seeing, because our music, some of it was really good. I've watched those old tapes back and I go, wow, like some of the shows are great. Some of the shows were like, what the fuck is happening? This is embarrassing. So he saw something in us and ended up booking us as an opener for A Flock of Seagulls.
Oh, wow.
And Idols was a really hip place back in the day. It was like they were having, like really some really serious alternative and like punk and like some pretty heavy punk bands of the time were playing that little place.
I love that. It sounds familiar to me, but I don't think it's been around.
It's been a long time since it's been there.
Yeah, I don't want to put a date on it because I don't know. But honestly, like I remember hearing the name. But I actually did work at a bar in this close downtown.
Okay.
It's Temple Bar and Grill.
Oh, I think I remember that place.
Yeah, I mean it's
right around the corner, I think.
Yeah,
right?
like pretty much right around the corner. Yeah. So
it was like he gave us credibility out of the gate.
That's something that you crave when you're like that young.
We didn't even know what we were being handed at that point in time. And
yeah, that's true.
I remember him pulling me aside in the DJ booth after one of the first times we played there. And he was like, listen, you guys are a nice bunch of kids. He started having all ages shows there too. Or he was allowing our fan base was like our high school friends who were like 15, 16, you know?
Makes sense.
So they would put big X's on their hands. He was like, look, and nobody ever tried to drink, thank God, because like it was a, you know, I went to McQuaid, the girls went to Mercy.
Right.
We were good Catholic kids, some of us. Yeah, exactly. But Richard saw something in us and said, look, I will agree to keep booking you if you promise me that you will keep writing original material. Because I think it was like a 50-50 cover to original split when we first started playing there. We were playing a lot more covers because we just didn't have the material. We were 15 fucking years old. I didn't know. I was writing a lot. You know, I'd written songs ever since I was really young. So we were, and so we took that seriously. We were like, all right, Richard wants us to write at least one new original song every show we have.
That's so
he would
cool.
book us once a month, and we would get in our basement and just work on a song. We'd work up, you know, more original stuff, and we'd go out and we'd do it. And he, consequently, would book us for all these really, as openers in front of all these like national acts or like big acts in town.
That's cool.
And got us in front of their crowds. We realized early on that being the opener was actually where you wanted to be. You wanted to be the band on before the band that was headlining.
Right before the headliner.
Because you could, if you were gonna, you know, especially if they were somebody that was kind of close to your genre of music, it was like, we're gonna steal some of their fans.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe some people would leave by the time the headliner was on because it was getting late, or they, you know, were sticking around for the whole thing.
That's true.
We got a lot of our fan base that way. And we were again, it was like, I don't think we were even 17 or 18 before we were good for about 250 to 300 people every time we played, no matter where we played, like once a month in town. Because our friends would bring friends. People started talking.
And if you don't mind me asking, what year was this? Like, was this in the 80s?
I graduated high school in 89.
Okay.
So we started in 86, 87.
I love that.
And
it was still in really good prime time where like...
Yeah. I mean, there was such a scene going on in Rochester at the time. And it was like so many great bands. Officer Friendly was some other mutual friends of ours. Another band called Hard Rain. Like we would go see DA's band all the time when he was one, and Diamond Tier even. Like it was...
I love that.
Everybody would go see everybody else because you'd want to, like, you'd kind of want to check up on the competition, and it was a healthy competition.
It always keeps you going.
Yeah, remember those days when everybody was writing tunes, man?
Yes,
it was just such a cool thing, man. I just remember having I can't remember who I had a conversation with, man. It's like, if you kind of stop writing songs, man, and you just kind of like just play somebody else's music, I just feel like you kind of gave up. Right. Not to say that you have or anything, but like
But
that was a mentality back in those days, at least for our crew.
Sure.
You know, it's like you're constantly making new music for yourself, and I just think that's so important. I still carry that around today with me. You know?
Yeah, it's important to keep moving it forward somehow, and I think that's, you know, by the time Exploding Boy ended, you know, it devolved into a cover band. It was like, I don't know what the shift was, but there seemed to be like a cultural shift where, you know, if you wanted to work, you had to play covers.
Yeah.
You know, and now, like, I mean, nothing against some of the cover bands. Some of my best friends are in cover bands, like Uncle Plum, like Elvio Fernandez from Daughtry was in one of the most amazing cover bands I've ever seen in my life. Those are all my close friends, Paul Akers and, you know, Joe Lana, you know, rest in peace. And, you know, and Mike Gladstone. Those guys were like, I mean,
talented dudes.
Oh my God, they were drawing so many fucking people. To do that, but it was an event. It was like they were really good in between songs. Their banter was hilarious, and then they would just like play these badass cover versions of these songs. They had great original shit too.
And I think we had Mike Sterato on the show.
Oh yeah, okay.
And we kind of talked about like the morphing that kind of happened in the scene, and at some point like things changing and like. I don't remember exactly like how or why we pinned it down to, but he kind of felt like it had something to do with the age, when the age of like coming into shows went from 21 to 18, and like how things got affected. I think it has a lot to do with the economy too. I mean, when I started playing out in Rochester, like the scene wasn't that the venues that were there was a lot of venues that you guys talk about that didn't exist. And then the venues that were there, they weren't doing that great at the time. And I think that was slowly after Kodak was starting to kind of fall apart.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of things, you know what I mean? Like went into, you know, the situation where it's like the scene changed. Like there was very few times that I would go out to see bands that, you know, had really massive shows. Right. And that was sad because there was so much good music.
Oh God, yeah.
In the scene, but I felt like they just kind of stopped being super supportive of each other along the way. And I think maybe some of the right people weren't there to book some of these people
Yeah.
or weren't running things, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
anymore. Like things kind of changed.
It
you
was
know?
like I like to go back to the healthy competition thing. It was always like we became friends with all the other bands in this, like genuine, like we'd hang out when we weren't playing, and then we'd want to go and see what they were up to and hear their new song or hear their new stuff. And if somebody had something new, it was like we'd get inspired to go back in our rehearsal room and come up with something new, and then show them what we had at our show. And it was such a rare, supportive kind of thing that I don't know. I mean, there was it was competition, but it wasn't like you wanted to see your friends do well. You wanted to see everybody do well.
Yeah, it wasn't like the way in the cruelest sense of the word. It was like it kept you at a high bar.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And everybody the level. It's the water level raises all the ships. Kind of like it's
right.
Yeah, I miss it. I miss that.
Well, and then you had Exploding Boy from like when you were pretty much like in your middle teenage years.
Yeah.
And then like for what, 15 years?
It was 13 years, 10 years with the original lineup.
Okay.
One of those.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I'd say it was 10, so actually 9 years, because one of those years we broke up. Mm-hmm. We got to a point. This is an interesting story, actually. So we were fortunate enough to find this manager, this guy, Tony Gross, who owned a recording studio. Tony was a former member.
I know Tony.
You know Tony.
Yeah, we all love Tony too, man.
Yeah, Tony's the best. I talked to him last week, actually.
Aww.
We're still close. I love him. I mean, he's a lot of the reason why we did all the early things that we did, and we wouldn't have been the band that we were without Tony.
You know what?
For sure.
One thing about Tony, I think he recorded our very first demo when we were Diamond Tier called Secretly. And if I'm wrong, man, I'll feel like a jackass though. But I think Tony did it.
Okay.
GFI, right?
I mean, it's not surprising. Yeah.
Yeah.
GFI
he did everybody back then.
Was the place to go.
86 or something. We did it.
Okay. Oh. Yeah. So yeah, you were like a year ahead of us, or like a year or two ahead of us, I think. Doing what we did.
Maybe just
Well, we met Tony because he was a former McQuaid guy.
Yeah.
And I had this great history professor at McQuaid named Bob Schwartz, who sadly passed away of pancreatic cancer. Mm-hmm. But Bob was a musician, and Bob would let me play guitar in class. Like, they'd always bug him to let me play songs in class, and because they knew it was going to waste class time. So Bob would always let me up. But anyway, I was walking out of class one day, and I asked Bob, like, if you were going to record. And this was Jason Meerwald's influence, because Jay was like, we got to find a recording studio. Let's start looking around. And so I asked Bob Schwartz, and he said, you need to talk to Tony Gross. He's a former McQuaid grad, and he's the guy to go see. So we went out and saw Tony, and Tony also saw something in us. And so we did a single out there, like a literal 45.
That's awesome.
That he helped us produce. And after that, we signed a management contract with him, and he got some, and we were just recording all the time. Anytime that, he didn't charge us for recording time. I think the deal was we bought our tape.
Okay.
And it was sort of like, he recorded us on spec, like if something happens, we'll talk about it. But like in the meantime, let's just get as many songs down as we can. So we recorded in all the spare time. He would block the studio out, and we'd just go and we'd work on stuff and work on stuff and work on stuff. And then he got this group of attorneys. His wife worked for a law firm, and he talked this group of attorneys into investing. I think it was like $40,000 at the time, which was a lot of money. Well, it's a lot of money now, but it was to get the record mastered by Howie Weinberg in New York. So the same guy who mastered Nevermind, I believe.
Okay.
We had a full 10-song thing that we got out, and I think we did a music video that we used Panavision cameras for. Like, it paid for some shit for us.
Yeah.
And the two big rock stations in Rochester, just so you guys know, WCMF was the one, and then there was one called Rocket 95 that turned into the Nerve or something like that.
Yeah, turned into Nerve. I don't think they're around. They haven't been around for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know what's up there anymore. But I know CMF is still doing their thing. Yeah, CMF's
still there.
But those two stations, I don't know how it happened. I don't know I don't think they paid anybody to do it. I don't know how it happened. The program directors for both of those stations decided to take a chance on one of our songs on our first record.
Oh, that's cool.
And the phones lit up like crazy. It went to number one request during the day, number one request at night. And for about a 6-month period in Rochester, we were everywhere. And we went from drawing 250 to 300 people to 2,500 people. Like,
wow.
We were filling Water Street Music Hall with
Damn.
lines around the block. And it was like, we realized how powerful radio
Yes.
was. And then the music video got played on a couple of the local news channels, and they did some, they were doing features on us and stuff because we were taking off. And Rocket 95 was pushing us more than CMF. I think we fit Rocket 95's format a little bit better. But that summer was incredible. I don't think I was even 19 yet, and I was driving around. Like, to be driving around that summer and to hear our song sandwiched between the Gin Blossoms and Jimi Hendrix was like,
that's awesome.
And you couldn't go anywhere without hearing our song that whole summer. And Rocket 95 had a sister station in Boston. And there was a regional guy who he was flying in because they were talking about trying to bring our single to Boston.
Okay.
We'd done so well in Rochester. Our second single was going to radio in Rochester and also kind of picking up steam. And, the naivete that we had at the time, we just thought, this is it. Like, if it's a hit here, it's going to be a fucking hit everywhere. And once they bring it to Boston, we're going. Right. At least that's how I felt. I'm not sure what the other guys. I can't speak for them, but I was convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was like,
I think anybody would be.
Yeah, I mean, and
did that not happen?
Well, I'll explain that. So to back up for a second, just to think how good we had it, because we were playing mostly original songs and drawing 2,000 people every time we played, and and to see where it went. But anyway, this guy from Boston flew in, and I know he's still in the business because I've talked with Tony Gross about it, and I believe he's in Nashville. I don't know who he is. I don't have his name, but this guy is a cocksucker. Like, this guy apparently is just known for being a dick. And he took pleasure in like shitting on people's careers and like knocking people down. And apparently he's still kind of fucking doing it.
Maybe he's just a former nasty musician that couldn't hack it. Don't
know. I hope I never find out who he is, and I hope I never fucking meet him, because like at age 19, like, he pulled the plug on us basically, and basically said he told somebody that our demographic was too young. Or he didn't like the band. He didn't like something about us. I don't know whether we might have had a bad night.
Oh, so he was playing God, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. So
sounds like a real sweet guy. I think we should go
man,
find
let's invite him. You guys should have him on the podcast. I'll ask Tony. Tony knows who he is.
Right.
Let's have him over.
Give me his name.
That's right.
Just for the record, man.
Name.
Critics, man.
Right.
Fucking hate them.
Oh, I've got some
scumbags out there.
I'll tell you some stories about critics.
Those who can't do critique.
Yeah, exactly. So this guy pulled the plug on us, and it, you lose.
He stopped you from going to Boston?
He stopped us from going to Boston, and basically it took us off the radio in Rochester as well. So it was like hitting a brick wall. So any band doesn't recover from that. But when you're 19 years old, we didn't know how to process that. And so it was like, you're young. Our draw was still good, but it wasn't what it was when we were on the radio, and it just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
And so as a consequence, we, to get around to the long point of the story, but we broke up. The band broke up because there were tensions. I was difficult. I was the guy writing the songs primarily, and not to take anything away from Jerry Anthony. Like those guys contributed. We wouldn't have been the band we were without their contributions as well. But we would get in the rehearsal room, and we would jam on things. And there's a lot of our later batch of material that was more of a band effort. But I knew how to structure songs. I knew how to write lyrics. So I would sometimes take a jam and I'd bring it home. Like, we'd have a little boom box we'd record everything on. So I'd bring it home. And I'd maybe have some structure ideas, and I'd bring it back in and go, okay, how about if we do this is a verse and this is a chorus, and then we'd kind of structure it and work it that way. But in the early days, I was just writing songs and bringing in demos and going, let's play this or let's play that, because nobody else wrote and didn't do anything.
Sure.
So when we broke up, I went and played with Hard Rain.
Okay.
For 6 months. They had just lost their record deal. They actually they were like one of the only bands in Rochester to get a record deal. They went to Memphis with EMI, made a record with this guy Joe Hardy, who did like all the ZZ Top records. He did Tom Cochran. He's the Replacements. They had just lost their record deal, so they were scrambling to try and restructure. And so I was a free agent, and they approached me about joining the band. And I was like, I used to go see Hard Rain. Like, they were I looked up to those guys. They were all considerably older. And we just thought they were God back then. So to get asked to be in Hard Rain was like, yes. I mean, yeah, I'll do it. The only problem with that was like everybody in that band sang. So it was 5-part harmonies. And I went to school for that 6 to 7 months with those guys. Like I learned more in that 7-month period playing with them than I think I ever have in my whole life during any period. Playing with Rudy Valentino, who was like, I don't even know how much older Rudy is than me, but he's considerably older and way more experienced. So I learned some shit on guitar that it was invaluable experience. I never would have gotten it anywhere else. And structuring 5-part harmonies, like those guys, somebody would bring a song in at the beginning of a rehearsal. We would spend 2 or 3 hours, and by the end of that rehearsal, we would have a fully realized live version of a song, and if we had a gig the next night, we'd play it the next night.
Oh, it's
Exploding
awesome.
Boy was always way slower. It was like, well, I'm not sure. Maybe we'll play it out tonight. Maybe we won't. I don't know. I don't have lyrics yet. So maybe I'll just sing something like gibberish. I would sing gibberish a lot of times. So I did that, but the pull to be a lead singer, I wasn't a lead singer in that band. I did a lot of like dual tight co-harmonies with the singer John Akers. But it just wasn't creatively satisfying for me in that way. And I left, and I left. It wasn't. I was a kid. I mean, I was probably 24 years old, 23 years old. So when I exited the band, I know the guys weren't really happy with it.
Sure.
We've since gotten past all that because it was like 85 years ago. But I then played with Officer Friendly, some other group. Another group of mutual friends of ours, and Officer Friendly was a really heavy band, very much like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, like heavier.
Yeah,
which I wasn't. I went from real pop rock kind of stuff to Hard Rain, which was riff rock, which was like kind of upping the ante, to Officer Friendly, which was like drop D. Let's just sludge this shit out and like let's really fucking rock it.
So funny. Officer Friendly doesn't sound like that kind of band, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah. And
I was actually just listening to Officer Friendly, man. Remember that song Umbrella?
Yes, great stuff. It still holds up for me.
And they have a lot of cool parts that they kind of blended. Like I can hear like the Alice in Chains thing. I can hear some Pearl Jam type of thing, but some King's X stuff in there too. I know those guys I can hear that in that one particular song. So I remember those guys.
John still has a thing, but man, he had a real thing back then. It was like, I was in awe of those guys watching them play because I remember.
They're from Rochester, right?
Yeah, from Rochester. John had this thing that like in his writing that we never had, that I would just watch the people that followed Officer Friendly were like religious about it. Like they were singing every last lyric of every song, and I remember just being in awe of that and really looking up to John. And consequently, I mean, my story's all over the map, but John and I started an acoustic duo years later called Jarvis Redwine, and it worked really well because his voice is very like rock, very rough around the edges, very Chris Cornell, very
nice.
He has his own thing,
right?
But I'm, more of a smooth pop kind of voice. And so together, it was like chocolate and peanut butter.
I love it.
You're chocolate fell in my peanut butter.
I love chocolate and peanut butter.
They're great together.
Great. They're perfect.
So yeah, playing with Officer Friendly kind of taught me how to play more rock style guitar. Not that I wasn't familiar with that stuff. It wasn't in my...
It wasn't in your wheelhouse of what you were doing before.
It wasn't. No. I was more like in the U2 school of like the edge and like, lots of atmospheric effects and lots of like, I was interested in guitars that didn't really sound like guitars. And I wanted my guitar to like be run through so much shit that I could like make it sound like a keyboard or like do these volume swells or something different. Yeah.
I enjoy that. It's because that's another artistic side of it. And it sounds like for whatever, your progression has been through, like you're artistic, if nothing else. There's something to be said for that.
I mean, I hope so. Thank you.
Especially if you're writing the whole time, because like a lot of people, it's not easy for people.
I don't know how to do anything else. That's the thing, is that like, there was one time in the Exploding Boy rehearsal room where Jason and I think Jay kind of posed this question to everybody. He was getting ready to go work at Sam's Club. Like we were in our mid-20s, nearing our mid-20s. And so he got a corporate job with Sam's, like being a manager, managing a store. And he was going to work in Binghamton. And so we thought this is the end of
Dan loves Binghamton.
Oh, really?
Why does it rain so much in Binghamton, man? I just
it rains a lot in Rochester,
man.
too.
They got really good chicken speedies. Remember those things,
Yes.
man? But just the rain, dude.
Yeah,
really?
the rain.
Okay.
What's a chicken speedy?
I don't even know. They don't even know. You know, I mean, it's like a chicken with some type of speedy sauce, whatever. They have festivals and
just
shit
like
and-
food.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways.
Sorry.
Shout out to Binghamton.
Yes.
Well, Binghamton. So he was going to move to Binghamton.
So we thought it was the end of the band. And he was like, all right, well, listen, let's go around the room. Like, if this doesn't work out, what are you going to do? And I didn't understand the question. Like, legitimately, I was like, what do you mean if this doesn't work out? What am I going to do? You know, so Jay said, I would probably go and manage, go into management, which he consequently did. He's
funny.
went into IT and he's done very well for himself. And Anthony is an amazing graphic artist, our bass player, and he's been in graphic design, went to school for it. And he's like, I'll probably do graphic arts, which he still does. He works
That
for a
is so
company called
funny.
RCF now and does like all their online stuff and all their, and he's brilliant at it. He's brilliant. And I was like, what do you mean? If this, I didn't understand it.
Right.
And I didn't have a plan B.
Right.
I was like,
Do you know what your plan B was, man?
what's that?
You would fall back on bass guitar.
I did end up playing bass for a while.
See, man? There
Yeah.
you go, man. That's what
That
happens.
is too
No,
funny.
I just, and I guess that's how I've put all my eggs in this basket just because it's not what I do. It's who I am.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a function of what I do. It is who I am as a person. I wake up with melodies in my head.
You can't get away from that.
No, I don't, that's the intro of my podcast is like, my father always said, you don't choose music, it chooses you. I firmly believe that. Like I live that. That's like, I don't, if you think I would choose this shit, like some of the stuff that I've put up with, some of the years that I've spent in like, toiling away, I would never choose this fucking shit ever.
Right.
So it's just, I got to a point where I'm like, I'm just going to follow it to its logical conclusion. I don't know what the fuck that is. I have no idea. I'm just throwing shit against the wall and hoping something will
Hoping
fucking
something
stick.
sticks to it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the cool thing about it is that, you're still doing it. And there's something to be said for that because it's a lot of tenacity,
Yeah. I mean, or it could,
I totally agree
Or
with everything.
craziness.
I totally get it though, man. I totally get what you're saying about this whole thing where you don't really choose it, man. It just kind of is who you
it's
are.
in you.
And it kind of like the whole songwriting thing, and we can get into that, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like your voice and how you speak, man. And I think a lot of people who don't write, I'm always trying to put my finger on it. I think it makes them feel vulnerable and they're afraid to kind of show themselves because they don't want to get bashed by the audience out there, man. But like, I think when you're in it so deep like you are, it's just a part of you and how you express yourself.
Yeah.
And it's just, how do you take that away? It's like,
I
totally get that whole
it's
part
like
of it.
it's like as much a part of me as my left arm is. And yeah, well, speaking of critics, I was going to tell you guys some funny things. So,
Fucking hate
I got
critics.
used to criticism. I got used to being critiqued at an early age, and it's tough because I've always had, to some degree, I've always had a bit of imposter syndrome, a bit of like, maybe I don't belong here. Maybe I'm not at the right party.
I think that's
They're gonna-
also very normal for a lot of musicians.
Probably, yeah. It's. I mean, you do. My friend Rudy Valentino, who I will quote now, from Hard Rain, always said, musicians feel things just a little bit deeper than everybody else. Artists feel things just a little bit deeper. That's why we do what we do, because it's like there's something in there that's like there is more vulnerability built into our psyche for some reason. But one of the first reviews we ever got, we did a cover of Ziggy Stardust by David Bowie on our first record, and a publication called Alternative Press decided to review it, and they said, and I've memorized all this stuff. So it's exploding. Rochester, New York's Exploding Boy takes a leaf out of Bauhaus's book, which is a band that covered Bowie's Ziggy Stardust, and covers Bowie's Ziggy Stardust, but then ruins it by letting a girl sing it. Except the band looks all male, so I'm confused. And that was a review, and that got us more positive responses from people like asking to hear our material. I learned no press is bad press. Doesn't matter. If
Yeah.
someone's talking shit about you, you might get more response from that because it's memorable. It's
Yeah.
like people remember the bad shit over
Yeah.
the good shit. We were on the Jenny Jones show at one point. as the house band for the day. You remember that show?
Yes.
Yeah, we were
remember that.
They would have. There was a period of time where they were having like regional bands be their house band. So you'd play to and from commercial.
Okay.
Which is very hard, by the way, because you have to stop right when they say stop. Like even if it's in the middle of a bar or wherever you are. And so we got to play a full song at the end that she introduced, and we did that as a 3-piece band. It was myself, Jason the drummer, and Joel Hurlbert from Officer Friendly that did that. We got hate email after that, and one of the ones was like you could give 3 monkeys a guitar, a bass, and a set of drums, and they'd sound better than you. How dare you go on national television and suck so bad? And my favorite review from that, which was this person took time to find, like, to look at the website address at the bottom of the screen, to go to the website, to find the email thing, and then wrote it. But he was like, I just saw you on Jenny Jones, and you suck. So fuck you. I'm still laughing. We laughed about it back then, but you can't let that stuff,
No, it's one of the things where it's like there's always trolls. There's always been trolls.
There's always been trolls.
Internet trolls. Yeah. Before the internet, there was, there's always been someone throwing. What were we talking? We were watching a Michael McKean interview from about Spinal Tap, and when he was. He had like a little band, and they did like a lot of politics and this and that, and they went to play in front of a bunch of like soldiers or something, and they got oranges thrown at their heads. Yeah, like because for some reason these people handed them oranges before they went into the gig, so he said they got a lot of citrus thrown at them. Yeah, there's always it's like
and then later on they're going, I saw Spinal Tap early on when they were
100%. You know what? I want to do this. I want to stop, take a minute. We're going to come back in a second, but I want to get set up. So you do know that I teach my guests on this show how to make a cocktail. Yeah. But we have to switch it up a little bit with you because you don't drink.
Right.
And I love that. So are you okay if I teach you how to make a mocktail?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Sorry I moved the mic here, but we're going to take a quick minute. I'm going to get everything set up, and hopefully you like this. It's different than the first time.
Awesome.
A little bit.
Cool.
So it'll be good.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ready.
Yay! All right, we'll be back.
Hi, this is Chris Nix, and whether you're listening or watching, this is Nashville on the Rocks.
We are back. We are here. We are ready to talk, and we are ready to make this mocktail. What do you think?
I'm very excited.
Okay, good. Awesome.
You're excited, and you're making me excited.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Okay, so I am totally a fan of the fact that people don't want to drink. I feel like my friend who works for Angel's Envy, he always says that he thinks our generation is drinking themselves sober, especially since COVID. So he's like, a lot of people just, it was too much. I agree with that. So most of the times now, if you go out someplace, you'll see like a mocktail area on a menu, which I think is great. Yeah. And I noticed that was kind of becoming the trend maybe like a year before COVID. So this is really cool. So I think that just because you don't drink doesn't mean that you shouldn't have something nice or pretty that you like. Yeah. So this is going to be a little basic, but it's going to be fun, not too sweet, depending on how you like it. I'll customize it for you. Cool. Okay, so we ready? Everybody ready? Okay, let's go. All right, so I'm going to use... First thing I'm going to use is my jigger here. This holds 2 ounces. So what I'm going to do is put some ice, which I just washed my hands, into this. And we're going to shake this up. So the chances of you doing this at home, you might not do it, but if you're out somewhere and you want to do it, you can also stir it. You could make this in a mason jar, put a lid on it, and just shake it up. So what I did was make a blueberry syrup, which is really nice. The good thing about this is that if you thicken it up a little bit more, you can put it on pancakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's just basically sugar, water, and blueberries until it just gets a really nice color, starts bubbling. Strain out the blueberries. Like I said, if you go thicker, you can make like a little sauce, which is great, but you can put this in soda water, you can put it in regular water, you can do anything to just spice up. You know how like people use the little Mio waters and stuff like that. This is kind of just like the same thing. Cool. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is take the measurements out, and I'm going to make all 3 drinks at once. So I'm going to put, this is 1.5 ounces of lemon juice in. And then I'm going to put 2 ounces of this blueberry syrup in. Put a little bit more. Because it's thick and I don't want it to drop. Okay. So I'm going to put soda water in it. And see, here's the thing. If you ever use soda water, never shake it at all because it will explode.
Yeah.
So if you put regular water in it, that's fine. Like if you don't want it to be too, if you don't want it to be too sugary or you don't like carbonation, you can put regular water in it. That's fine to shake. Just don't ever put anything carbonated in a tin. It will explode in your face. So ready?
We learned that the hard way. The previous producer didn't make it.
No, right? Yeah, it was kind of like Spinal Tap. They just exploded. It was like that. So I just like to shake this up a little bit, make it really cold.
Yeah, shake it, babe.
God, it's a man thing
I gotta
to say.
stop doing that, man. I'm sorry.
All right, about 10 seconds. So you can hear it like squeak.
All right, babe. Yeah, knock that table so it goes all through the mics. There you go, babe. All right, babe.
I'm a little aggressive. Okay, so this technically is called like, I just realized I didn't use this little baby one. So this technically is called like I don't know if it's technically, it's a dirty dump. You don't use...
A dirty dump.
You
Yeah,
don't
you know what I
use,
like that.
You're using the ice that was in the tin. You're not putting it over fresh ice.
I had that happen to me once.
I thought I heard that on that rock and roll war stories.
There's something like that in there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically you just use the ice that was in the tin. Okay. All right. And instead of pouring it over new ice, you can do that with margaritas. There's various cocktails or mocktails in this case that you would use that with. Basically, if you didn't want it to dilute too much, because once you shake the ice cubes, they're going to break down. Mm-hmm. So the longer you have your drink, the more technically watered down it's going to be. So that's why a lot of people would want to put it over new ice for all intents and purposes. I don't think it's going to matter so much here. So we have 2 choices. This is one of my favorite tonic waters, and it's a Mediterranean tonic water. It's so good. Ooh. So obviously there's a lot of sugar in tonic water. Sure. So I'm going to back off on how much I put in that. But do you like soda water?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I hate soda water.
Oh, really?
I fucking
you can
hate
do
it.
the tonic for me.
No,
That's
well, here's the thing. I hate soda water unless it's flavored with something.
Oh, okay.
So this is fine, but then I would have to put something else in it. So what I'm going to do is do mostly soda water to cut back on calories because it's already going to be sweet with the blueberry syrup. But then I'm going to top it off with this Mediterranean tonic water. So this tastes a lot different than regular tonic water. Fever Tree makes a bunch of different kinds. This is just like a heaven godsend. And we'll just top it off a little bit so it's not too sugary. Take some blueberries. Get a little garnish.
Blueberries.
I love garnishing drinks with fruit. I know it's like really annoying because I feel like you take a swig of it and you almost choke on any berry that I put in it. So peels are much better, but I just like the way they look. They look so pretty.
Like drinking that bubble tea stuff.
Oh yeah, which I've never had.
Oh yeah.
Do you like it?
No, I don't.
No.
It's like getting a mouthful of gelatin balls. Whatever that means. If you've ever had that happen to you, we all know how painful that is. Oh yeah.
Terrible. All right. Well, cheers. Thank you for coming on the podcast. I hope you liked this.
Thank you for having me.
Yay,
Cheers.
here we go.
Thanks, babe. Appreciate it.
Here's to a good mocktail.
All right.
Oh, that's delightful.
Right? Just a little bit.
Refreshing.
You can taste the tonic water too, right?
Mm-hmm. Really good.
I don't know. I don't know
like
how
that.
they do this. To be honest with you, I don't know how they flavor this up. I've never looked into it or why, but there's so many different kinds. There's like an elderflower tonic. There's an Indian flavor tonic water. I don't know. That's one of my favorites. There's so many different, just like a little zest of something.
Made with chunks of real people.
Chunks of real people.
People.
Well, I don't know if you're seeing this now, but they have like a little, they have like alcoholic waters like in a can now. Or, yeah.
Alcohol infused water?
Yeah. in a can. Like,
Think about everything now, don't they?
yeah, like it's just all this random shit like put together. Like pretty much anything that you want out there is available. Also, there's like non-alcoholic mocktails in a can too now. That's like
really?
a thing. Yeah, so some
This
of them.
is so good, by the way.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I really like it.
Yay, good. I'm glad you enjoy it. But
And
the
babe,
thing is,
babe, just for, I don't know if you're going to move on, or I just think you should just go over the ingredients real quick, what's on the table
Okay.
before you go any further.
okay,
to
so
do
the ingredients that I have in front of everything is I have ice, I have lemon juice, I have blueberry simple, and I have blueberries, and I have this Fever Tree Mediterranean tonic water, which we're not sponsored by them, but it doesn't matter.
What's going on with that
So damn
skull?
good.
Is
But you never know.
Yeah, exactly. The skull,
Yeah, the skull. Like, what do you do with that thing?
that is
That's the old producer.
Oh, okay.
exactly. That
What
is
happened to that guy? He looks
that is
horrible.
to hang out with your to drink from the skull of your enemies.
You got a face full of shaken soda water.
Yes.
All right.
Just burned his skin all off. It was the
awesome.
lemon juice. It just ate right through the skin. Well, I'm glad that you like this. And like I said, I kind of like making stuff at home that's like a little fresh, like, which is why like I prefer to make like squeeze lemons at home versus like buying it, but also because it's so versatile. You can use it in so many things. If you can use it in baking, you can use it like, you know, in breakfast. So I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I think that's cool.
That's really good.
Yeah,
very good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes.
Okay, so let's get back a little bit to talking about it. So, you were in Exploding Boy. You had this great career. You thought that everything was going to go your way, and it did for a while. Like
Yeah.
things went for a while, and then coming back around, you started playing more covers, and then that kind of came to an end.
Yeah, the last 3 years of the band were spent. We relocated to just outside of Washington, D.C. We lived in Alexandria, Virginia.
Okay.
Fairfax, that area. And,
Was there a reason for that?
Yeah, Jason, the drummer's girlfriend at the time, got into school at GW.
Okay.
She was going to be a physician's assistant. So he suggested that again. Jay was always kind of pushing the bar forward. He's like, well, listen, maybe we could relocate to a bigger city because Rochester's kind of played out, you know. And if we went to a bigger place, especially DC, kind of more of a central hub to get to, you know, everywhere. Sort of. So
The southern states.
that was the thinking. So Anthony, our bass player, his girlfriend, he decided that he was going to be a dad. So his girlfriend had gotten pregnant, and so he kind of left the band to pursue fatherhood and to do all that kind of thing. So we drafted Joel from Officer Friendly and another guy named Jim Ralston to play guitar. So we became a four-piece,
nice.
which kind of freed me up a little bit to put the guitar down and front the band a little bit.
Yeah.
He was also a singer, so like
Okay.
vocally, it was a help to take some of the weight off me vocally.
Sure.
We signed with an agency called Cellar Door Entertainment that was based in the South, and so they put us on the road full time as a cover band, and we were doing like 300 plus dates in a van and a trailer. It was set up to fail. I mean, it was really it
Wow.
was the poorest I've ever been.
You would think it would be almost the richest you've ever been.
It was the poorest we've ever been. We would have, like, because we were paying two managers and the booking agency. So I think
see.
like 35 or 40% was coming off the top. And then
Right
we had
off the top.
Yeah. And so
Do you have any merch you were selling?
not much,
Yeah.
not enough to like make a difference or make a dent in anything. And I remember there was a specific conversation one day when, you know, Jay, also the guy who was moving things forward, also our sort of unofficial tour manager. He was always keeping track of the books. He had a budget, had a ledger. He was, you know, the money guy. And I remember, you know, he was like, all right, guys, look, I did the budget for the week. We can all get McDonald's today, the dollar menu. And we can all get French fries today. It was an actual conversation that we were
Big day.
Yeah, we had canned goods that we traveled with, like Chef Boyardee. Like I ate beef. I ate so much goddamn beefaroni.
Oh my
for
God.
that 3 years. So yeah, it was not a good scene.
These are not the glamorous parts of the road.
No, this was not the glamorous shit
Yeah.
at all. I mean, we did some really interesting things. Again, I don't want to give away all the stories from the podcast, but there was a night we actually jammed with Pantera. We had Dimebag Darrell and Vinnie Paul got up and played with us.
I think I missed this episode. I need to go back and listen to this episode.
It's called Exploding Boy Meets the Cowboys from Hell. You can't miss it.
So I'll check this episode out.
Yeah. great. It's a great story. It was also one of the most hungover days I've ever had in my life. Thanks, Dimebag, wherever you are. He's watching now, I can tell.
Or screaming from below.
Lots of Crown Royal.
Oh.
And when I wanted to stop, Dimebag basically said, "Drink it." Yeah.
Drink.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
When a guy like that says you drink it, you drink it.
Oh my God.
So yeah, by the end of that, there were a lot of tensions. We were all kind of at each other's throats, and Jay was getting ready to move to Connecticut, and the girl that I was with was getting ready to go to school in Gainesville, Florida. So it just was it was the perfect spot to cap things. And so my relationship with Jason, I've been friends with this guy since I was in high school, and so we were at each other's throats. It was just I didn't want to be at odds with one of my best friends, and so we had to sit down and was kind of like, this might be the time to kind of go our separate ways.
Move on
so
to the next
so we
thing.
did. So I went to Gainesville and started the next chapter, and Jay went up to Connecticut and started his next chapter. And we're still close. I've still, the guys in Exploding Boy are still like my brothers. I talk to them weekly.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's such a cool thing when that happens, because you're in a situation with people where you're working, you trust them in so many ways, shape, or form, because it just feels like you're in a group together. It really does feel like a family.
And you're growing up together.
You're
man.
growing
You know
up
what I'm saying?
together.
Totally grew up together. Yes. Yeah. And Anthony's case with me, since we were, nursery school age. So literally our whole lives.
You're going through all the steps you're going through all the firsts of everything.
Yes. Yeah,
and all the lasts of everything.
Yeah.
So when you moved to Gainesville and you've gotten to know very well two other guests we've had on the show, Tom Hurst.
Yeah, and Chris Nix. Yeah, I played in a band. It's funny. When I first moved to Gainesville, I was scared to death. I mean, like after Exploding Boy ended, that was all I knew since I was 15, 14. I knew I could do solo acoustic gigs. I'd done them before. I wasn't so sure about making a living doing it. I didn't know much about that. But the advantage I had when I moved to Gainesville was that I was a seasoned road veteran by then. I had done 300 dates plus for the previous 3 years, plus God knows how many before that. And everybody else that was doing the acoustic gigs in town was like fraternity guys. Like they were inexperienced. I mean, there were a few older guys doing that around town, but nobody with my level of experience, really. Sure. I mean, there were maybe one or two, but it wasn't hard to impress a room full of college kids. It was like I was a rock star there, right. They were like, who is this guy? So I got work immediately. I was working 6 nights a week within the first couple months of living there. And so I started doing the solo acoustic thing, and I just kind of got a booking agency that was based in Orlando, and they got me shows in like Daytona and Tampa and some other places.
Oh, it's wonderful.
So I was traveling all around the state of Florida and doing all those kinds of things, and really just not advancing my career. I mean, Gainesville was a lot of drinking. It was a lot of, just making money. Yeah. And not
and spending money?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many, I wish I could tally up the amount of free alcohol that I had over the 13 years I lived in Gainesville. It's probably in the tens of thousands of dollars. I'm not kidding. It used to be to the point where I would walk in a bar, and if I knew the guy or girl and they saw me at the door, by the time I made it to the bar, there was whatever drink of choice I was drinking that particular week. It changed weekly, and a shot of choice ready to go, and it was just went from there. So yeah, I met Tom and Chris. I actually met Tom as I asked around town, like, who are the guys here if I wanted to start a band? Because I was just all about the bands. I was like, the acoustic thing was great, but I wanted to play with other people. I wanted to do that whole thing. They said, most people said, well, you want Tom Hurst on the drums for sure, because Tom's the best drummer here. And you want Chris Nix on guitar. And then the first person I asked was like, but you'll never afford those guys. Which I thought was funny. And they think it's hilarious whenever I tell that story to them too. But it was true. Like, they commanded a certain amount of money because they were the best fucking guys in town.
Right.
Just for the record, we all think those guys are ridiculous players, man.
Oh my God.
Awesome people.
Tom and Chris are guys who could literally play with anybody on planet Earth. No joke. They could get thrown in Peter Gabriel's band and hang just fine. And that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Anybody.
I would agree with that. They're both very talented and very committed to their craft. They have so much experience. And I don't know, I'm sure they work for it, but it just seems to ooze out of them.
Yeah.
You know
and
what I
they
mean?
let me be in their band. No, honestly, Tom and Chris have been probably my biggest cheerleaders here since I moved to town. And it's still very moving for me. I mean, Tom and I've had conversations recently where, I'm currently looking for a gig, and Tom has been kind of trying to help me, in that area, and Chris as well. But those guys are, they're my brothers, just like the Exploding Boy guys are my brothers, and
just at a different time.
Yeah, and to the fact that they both think so highly of me blows me the fuck away. I don't, I have to get better. Tom has yelled at me in the past for not owning it. I know I'm very good. I have to be. If I'm not, I wouldn't have been doing it this long if I wasn't.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've gotten a lot of opportunities thrown your way.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
and that just doesn't happen.
At a certain point,
unless
you have to know that it's not an accident anymore. Okay, so I'm getting better about owning that. I'm getting better about being more kind to myself. This is just I'm squirming right now because it's very very hard for me. But so I got thrown on a gig with Tom at one point. Through a mutual friend I basically subbed me in for something that they were supposed to do. It was like a gig in Orlando doing a Christmas party. And so I went to Orlando, got thrown on this gig with Tom, and we just hit it off immediately. Musically, we had a lot in common as far as our tastes in music. A lot of things that we liked were the same. We drove to and from the gig in Orlando together.
Nice.
And he just started coming down I had this Thursday gig at a place called Dirty Nelly's, which is your typical Irish pub. And, I think there's a Dirty Nelly's or Dirty somebody's. Yeah. Anywhere.
Love Dirty Nelly.
So Tom just started kind of saying, you mind if I bring my kit down and just start making some noise with you on a Thursday? I was like, yeah, that'd be fucking great. So he came down the first week and it went over really well. And so I think I gave him my tip jar, just to give him a little something to kind of make it worth his while. I wasn't getting paid a lot to be doing that gig either. Well, then I got introduced to Chris through Tom, and Chris saw how much fun Tom and I were having. And so he was like, you mind if I bring my stuff down and start playing with you on, So Chris started coming, sitting in on other gigs around town that we were doing here and there. And before long, we were doing every Thursday night at this Dirty Nelly's place, and it was like the place to be on Thursdays. And there was never, when I tell you, there was never a set list. There was never really one way to play a song. Like, Chris and Tom are so fucking good at what they do. I'd be doing these abstract acoustic versions of songs that I was playing that would be modern pop, modern rock versions of songs that Chris, I don't think, even listened to any of this stuff and didn't know who the fuck it was. He would just start playing along. And same with Tom. They would just kind of follow along with what I was doing. Yeah. And I don't think we played the same version of any song twice in all the years. I think we played at Dirty Nelly's for 8 or 9 years running.
Damn.
And
that's a long.
It got to the point where I started bringing down a digital piano, and so some songs would be me on digital piano, Tom on this. Tom brought out like a kick drum, a snare, and a set of hi-hats, and it sounded like a 15-piece kit or say, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know the drum lingo, but it sounded like the biggest drum kit in the world. And then Chris brought his stuff, and so it would be, Chris on electric, me on piano, Tom on drums, and then I would do some songs where it was me on acoustic, Chris on, and then at some point I was like, I probably should get a bass rig, and so I was bringing all this fucking gear. We were bringing all this shit into this place. So I played bass on some songs. I'd play, acoustic guitar on some songs, and I'd play piano on some songs, and that's kind of how we did it. And it was different every week.
That's awesome.
And and we got to play the stadium in Gainesville for this thing called Gator Growl in front of like 60,000 people.
Damn.
So it was a student-run pep rally thing, and Bill Cosby was the headliner that year. I know.
Why?
Yeah.
Well,
why? I don't know. Well, that was before everybody knew that he was drugging people. And
you okay, man? You made it out all right and everything?
Yeah. I'm fine. I'm okay. I can't really speak for anybody else at the.
No, I was saying, oh my, because I understand that.
Did you meet Camille?
No.
Come here. All right,
To
sorry.
offer her your
right.
condolences.
No, yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
So-
that was a time where everybody still loved him. So
Yeah, well, we got to do the stadium in front of 60,000 people and got to play one of my songs, and it was strongly suggested by the people that booked us for it that we do a cover song as well. So we played "American Girl" by Tom Petty. Stuff. This does exist on YouTube, by the way. You can look it
Love
up. Just
it.
look up, Michael J. with or Ben Hill Griffin Stadium, Gainesville, Gator Growl, something like that.
That's
You'll find it,
awesome.
or you just go to my YouTube channel. It's all there.
yeah, well, and your YouTube channel, can you tell us what it is? We're gonna list it.
I
But
don't fucking know. I think it's Michael J. Official, but don't quote me on that.
we'll
You
cut this
can-
part out and we'll just list it at the bottom. So
That'll
yeah,
be
so
great.
it's
Dude,
on
you know what's
YouTube.
going to happen? They're going to go to Michael J. Official. We're going to watch Jordan like dunking on people and shit.
Yeah.
Or like somebody
Exactly.
moonwalking and shit.
Exactly.
We're going to check it out.
You guys were in the process of making all that happen. You had a good friendship come out of it, and if I remember correctly, Tom was the first one to move to Nashville.
Tom was already making inroads to Nashville like early on in the process. Like he was coming to Nashville to play gigs on the weekends.
That's so cool.
Like he was going out. He would, I think he would drive here or he would fly out from Gainesville, get on a tour bus, do the gigs, come back to town. Tom's always got like a million irons in the fire. I don't know how he does it.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
He really does.
He's super busy all the time. He was always busy back then. And then he made the move, and I think Chris was soon after that. And I kind of hung out in Gainesville for another couple of years after that, and just was languishing in it was really dark. It was a dark period for me. I was just drinking way too much, not forwarding the career aspect of anything at all, just making money in bars.
you felt
know?
like you were probably really stagnant.
I was, and I was really drunk and bloated too. And so
I've been there too.
Yeah. So Chris and Tom were both in my ear. I remember Chris telling me, exactly these words exactly. Like, you got to move to Nashville. You'll make the same living, or maybe better, but you'll be doing way cooler things than you're doing in Gainesville.
I think that's a cool way to put it.
It was a great way to put it. Yeah.
You'll be
And he
doing
wasn't
cool
wrong.
things.
He wasn't wrong. So I moved here, and they both had a gig with this guy, Chuck Wicks.
Yeah.
And Chuck was in need of a second guitar player, and so they were in Chuck's ear about it. And when I moved to town, it almost unheard of. I got this gig with Chuck. Chuck wasn't touring regularly. He was, he had enough gigs to kind of keep me, to make me feel like I hadn't made a bad decision moving to town.
Sure.
And we were playing the Opry a lot, which was, for me, I never dreamed in a million years I'd play the Grand Ole Opry.
I think I heard of that place. I heard of that place, right?
It sounds
That was,
familiar.
had you told me 5 years earlier that I'd be playing at the Grand Ole Opry in excess of 20 something times since I've been here, I would have been like, fuck you. There's no way. That's not my thing. Right.
But that's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
what people come to Nashville to do.
Well, right. And I know some people that move here and never get to do that. And so the
Exactly.
fact that I did that, Chuck was an Opry favorite, still is, I think. So for me to get to play the Opry, and I've played the Ryman as well a bunch of times with him.
that's
So
cool.
it's,
That's beautiful.
those experiences are, you don't get paid much to do it, but it's like, I would do that for free. That's the stuff that really makes you feel like you're on the right path.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't your dad and mom come to see you?
They did. Chuck got them. It was the second time I played, and they managed to time it out. We didn't get much notice on those Opry gigs, unfortunately.
Okay.
So Chuck would be like, "Hey, how about this Wednesday?" So my parents were flexible enough with what they were doing, and so they managed to make it into town. And they came, and it was great because my mom used to listen to the original Opry on the radio when she was a little girl.
Hell yes.
So Chuck was kind enough to get them backstage passes and, got them access and everything. And my dad was like a kid in a candy store. He was walking around talking to all the Opry house musicians. And my mom was, they were taking it all in. I think for me, we rehearsed in my parents' basement for all the early years. And so they put up with a lot of shit from me. And I think during the years I lived in Gainesville, I think they were probably, for good reason, were probably very worried about me and worried about my well-being and whatnot, and worried about what's this kid doing with his life kind of thing. But I saw it on their faces at the Opry. I saw incredible relief. I saw pride, but I saw incredible relief. Oh, our kid's okay. He's
going to be good.
He's doing all right. And they're so proud of it. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that I got that opportunity for them to do that. It was one of my favorite things that's ever happened to me.
Oh, that's
having them backstage. Yeah.
That's so great to hear. So you were playing with Chuck. So that was like, that's a pretty cool like first gig to have.
It's a great gig. I mean, we did all kinds of crazy stuff, and some of that's in the podcast as well. There's some misadventures and some adventures and all that kind of thing. That
I've heard that, and I love it.
Yeah,
highly recommend
that's
listening.
Good. And then so after Chuck, I met Jameson Rogers. I did some other gigs in and around that whole thing. I was just taking whatever I could get.
Yeah.
I played with this female country artist who did like a regional touring thing, and it was just a van and a trailer gig. And I got thrown on the gig with this guy, Adam, who became Jameson Rogers' band leader.
Okay.
And so Adam and I hit it off right away. Another guitar player, and DA can attest to this. Like sometimes guitar players, we're catty. We don't get along sometimes. Sometimes it's like a look at me fest.
I got you.
And
yes, whoever's playing Nigel Tufnell, you got to get
right.
Somebody's got that attitude, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, I'm lucky too. Chris Nix and I are another one of those things where like I don't have to like where Chris and I leave off where the other begins. It's. We don't have to discuss anything. I know what he's going to do just instinctively, so I stay out of his way. And
do you think that's because you guys have been playing for so long together?
We just had that from minute one.
Okay.
I mean, and that's that's to some degree that's a lot of that's a lot of Chris too. That's just Chris being the intuitive player that he is.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, we just worked. Always. There was never a time when we didn't just click, and with Chuck Wicks, it was just perfect. It's like I knew what my role was. He knew what his role was, and we just coexisted. Same thing with Adam, this guy, Adam Flomeyer, who's still one of my dear friends. And I credit him with, he gave me one of the best career opportunities of my entire life at this point with Jameson, and subbed me in on a gig with Jameson. Jameson hadn't been signed yet. So I went and did this thing. And this was, again, my naive side kicking in. Like Jameson was signed to like CAA, like he had some big things. I just was oblivious. He had a publishing deal with Sony, and I went in and I was like, wow, this band is really good. Like these songs are really good. Like this is really good. This is really good. So I went and did the gig, and I hit it off with J-Mo, and he had like kind of a rotating cast of people at that point. There wasn't a set band. Didn't have a lot on the books, and so Adam was off playing, doing something. He was touring, opening up for Miranda Lambert, doing like Madison Square Garden and shit. And so I subbed in for a good long time with Jameson. And when Adam was done with that, I guess somebody suggested, well, why don't you try it with two guitar players? And his manager saw that and was like, I would love it with two guitar players. We got to do this. This is like, we need to keep it this way. So I helped Jameson showcase for Sony. Like he and I went up to Sony with two acoustic guitars and went and sat in a boardroom in front of the suits and did that whole thing. And he couldn't get signed. He was having a hard time getting signed. And so there wasn't a lot on the books. And so I left his situation because I got offered a deal to go on tour with this Canadian country artist named Aaron Goodvin, who was much more successful in Canada than here, but very successful in Canada. And the money was so good that I was like, I have to do this. And I will say, as an interjection here, anytime that I have followed the money in my life, it has been the biggest fucking mistake that I've ever made. And again, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to disparage Aaron Goodvin's situation. It just wasn't a fit for me. Those guys are all good guys. They're all great players. They're all, it just wasn't, personality wise, it wasn't a good fit. And musically, it wasn't a good fit. But I did that for a couple of years. Now, in the interim, Jameson got a record deal, got signed, and went out, got asked to be on Luke Combs's first big tour.
Oh shit!
So I remember feeling like I chose poorly.
Well, you made the decision that people that are Nashville working musicians would make, which is to make a living.
Yeah, it was a logical decision. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was in a way. Right?
I mean, it did.
That's what happens. You just never fucking know.
You'd never fucking know, and that's the hard thing. It's like nobody knows what's going to be. Not even the labels don't even fucking know what's going to be successful. Nobody knows. Not none of these executives have any fucking clue. I know that firsthand. Yeah. I've talked to them.
They're also just throwing things at the wall, hoping something
they just want to see what's there. They want something to be successful so that they can go, oh, we'll follow that. It's.
Well, and Luke Combs just blew up, so that's a huge. Well, Nashville loves Luke Combs. I mean, like everybody loves Luke
is
Combs.
A class act. I've only met him once, but I know a lot of people that surround his camp, and I know his manager is close with the Sister Hazel guys, who I also know. He is a class act. You can just look at the stuff that he's done, and it's like he handles himself. He really is grateful for everything that he has, and
that's cool. That's good to hear.
I have nothing but good things to say about Luke. But yeah, Luke is the guy that was responsible for getting Jameson his record deal, really, or helping to get him his record deal.
Yeah.
And so ever since I left that band, I was like, I really want to be back in that band. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't sure about it. And this is leading to an interesting story. So COVID happened. Well, I'm sorry, let me back up. I got let go from the Aaron Goodvin situation, probably because those guys were feeling the same thing that I was feeling. It just wasn't a fit. But
I love that you're honest about it.
No, I mean, yeah.
You're so honest about so many things, especially on your podcast.
I have to be, because if I can't, I don't have time for bullshit anymore. I don't.
Yeah. I'm also a bad liar too.
I can't lie. No, so you'd know it. You'd know it if I was. Well, I did a stint with this band called Freddie Jones Band that was like kind of a, kind of decent following in the 90s. They had some stuff that was up my alley, kind of Exploding Boy adjacent. And I ate that up. I loved it. It was very much my personality on the guitar. Lots of U2 inspired kind of guitar stuff going on in that. And the Edge is my guy. I've always been a U2 guy. And then COVID happened. And so the world stopped for a few years. And then when COVID was kind of, when things were kind of opening up again and slowly, Adam from Jameson's band needed some guitar parts. And I'm the guitar part guy, apparently. So he texted me and said, look, I need some saddles for a Fender Telecaster. Like, do you know what would you recommend? What would you recommend? And I said, dude, I've got a whole bin full of those saddles here. Just come get them. Like, I'll give you 3 sets or something, So he brought his little daughter over, and we were sitting in my kitchen just shooting the shit. I think he had bought a new guitar. Jameson was getting ready to go back out again. And he just kind of put it out to me sort of almost as an aside. He was like, well, we're thinking about maybe adding another guy. We don't know. We're thinking we want another guitar player, but we also want somebody who can play keys, and we don't know, and da-da-da-da. And as he's telling me this, I'm thinking to myself, either he doesn't know I play keyboards, he's forgotten that I play keyboards, or they just don't want me in the band.
Right.
And where did my brain go? Door number 3. I went, they don't fucking want me. He's not asking me to be in this band. And so I let him leave my house. I didn't stop him. I didn't think about it. I was like, well, I guess that's just how it is. That's how my brain works. Until the next day.
Man, let me just add, man. It reminds me of you remember that movie Dumb and Dumber?
Yes.
Remember like they pass up the massaging the chicks, whatever. It's like it's the same type of thing. So it's like some two lucky guys are, what is exactly it to keep our eyes peeled?
Dude, that's
Harry?
The best analogy I've ever heard in my life. Yeah.
I don't know. I always throw in those stupid jokes.
That's amazing. That's amazing that you made that jump, that parallel. That's exactly how I would have described it if I was that quick.
Man.
No. So,
sorry.
No, it's fine. Until the next day, I was on the phone with Chris Nix, of all people. And I told him the story. And I'm like, yeah, they're looking for a keyboard player and a guitar, And he's like, wait. He's like, okay, you mean to tell me that one of your best friends who's in a band that you've wanted to be in since you left it tells you that there's a gig open in that band that fits you 100%, and you don't say, I want the fucking gig? Get off the phone with me right now. Text him now. Call him now. And I'm like, okay, you got a point. So I texted Adam. I was like, just in reference to last night's conversation, you do know that I play keyboards, right? And I got this all caps text back. Holy shit, you play keys? Oh my God. Do you want to audition? I was like, yeah. So within the next 24 hours, I had an email chain going with Jameson's manager, who I knew all these guys really well, except some of the guys in the crew I didn't know. But bass player, I was was close with. Adam, close with. Jameson, obviously very close with. The drummer was a new guy. But going into that audition, I only auditioned against 2 other guys.
Oh, wow. So the list was very small.
Yes. And how pissed would I have been
if you didn't even
if I didn't even do it? It was my gig to lose the second I walked in. I knew it. I was getting hugs from everyone. Even Jameson's manager gave me a big hug. Dude, it's so good to see you. Glad you're doing all right. Jameson hugged me, and Jameson was like, I played some of the worst gigs of his career with him before he got signed. Like, some of these awful things. And he remembered that. And that was kind of another thing. And to Jameson's credit, too, he called everybody after the audition process. He called everyone in the band and said, who do you think it should be?
Oh, wow.
Like, never happens. Like, that never happens. Most of these artists in town are in control of the whole thing. They want it to be the artist and the band. Jameson was always us.
Yeah.
Which, for me, for my money, at the end of the day, you're going to get a better result. The audience is going to get a better end product if it's a band.
Absolutely.
If it's a me, and these are the faceless guys in the back, it drives me fucking nuts what they do in Nashville here. I'm getting on a pedestal here because I have nothing to lose by saying any of this shit. I don't have a gig at the moment, so but it was incredibly refreshing working for somebody like Jameson.
Yeah.
Who had no ego about it. There was none, 0%.
I think that's the thing that it's hard to kind of like. It's hard to kind of navigate through that because what I'm trying to fucking say is that all the stories that I listen to with people that I've talked over the year, like I don't know because I'm not there, but I get different stories and I kind of gauge like, okay, so this is kind of how it works, and then you see like the exceptions to the rules, right? So, but when you're in it, like most people thinking, they're like, this is my shot, this is my chance. So you know what I mean? So you kind of go along with whatever is happening, which, you're not in control of yourself in that moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're like, you want something bad enough where like people give in to like maybe not the best gigs or not the best money or
sometimes you just have
creative
to,
control and
you have to take what you can get sometimes.
And sometimes that's fine, but it's always good when you have that option. Like when Jameson gave you that option, that means something.
It was a dream to be in that band for the years that we did it. And Jameson's taking a break from touring right now, so we don't know what's happening. I out of respect for him, I'm just going to keep my mouth shut on it. But I think he wants to be. He got married recently, so I think he wants to be closer to home. And
sure,
I think he and his wife want to start a family and all that kind of thing. And the road is very tough for that. So, there's the future's open. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, he may change his mind in another year and say, I want to do it again, and that would be amazing. I would drop whatever I was doing to be in that situation. It doesn't matter. It was never about the money for that either. It was always about, it was a very rare situation where every single person in that camp is a very special thing. You could have stranded me on a desert island with any one of those guys or a group of them, and I would have been like, sweet. I love all these people. I love them. They're my family. I'm still maybe mourning the loss of the fact that we're not going to be touring this year.
It's good that you have that option for you because right now you're making a lot more music.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I've been doing that right along.
You've been doing it the whole time, but like you just had a song come out recently.
I've put out a lot of stuff recently. Yeah. I think I put out a couple singles in a
short period of time.
A bunch of other stuff. Yeah.
Let's talk about your music, man. We really do, man.
Sure.
This stuff excites me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like I'm at a point where I know exactly who I am, and I wear some of my influences on my sleeve, but I feel like it gets sifted through this like thing at the end that makes it me. And I've not always had that. Like I know what my direction is. So making the music now is just a matter of sitting down. Like I know what I want to hear. I know what the end result is going to be. And I don't do it for anybody but myself. It's purely for me.
Yeah.
I'm not self-conscious about any audience that's going to hear it. I don't give a fuck. Really, I don't. And I mean that in the best possible way. I want people to like it, but
sure.
I'm certainly not going to cater to anybody, and I'm certainly not going to cater to the whims of the business or anything like that. I've been that way. To some degree, I've had that kind of attitude since I started. I would rather fail at being myself than succeed at copying someone else. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. And when you're used to like being your own songwriter for such a long time, and like it's hard to like, I guess, want to make yourself change paths.
Yeah. And I feel like there's a lot of copycat shit that gets put out there where, you know, I mean, that's always been there in the business, because when something's successful, everybody wants to jump through that rabbit hole to make, oh, this sounds like Matchbox 20's big. This band has to sound like Matchbox 20 or name your, you know, insert your band of the day into that thing. It has to be this, and country is very guilty of that. And, but the people that break through are the ones that just do their own thing, and you know, and that's a scary. It's scary, especially when there's a lot of money on the line, then your life is on the line, and then you've got, you know, it's really fucking hard to be an artist.
You know what? Listening to your music, man, I know we talked off camera about, you know, the stuff that I hear that you're doing, I really enjoy, and I think the coolest thing about your music is that I just noticed that you have your own voice, man, and I could just tell you've been doing this for a long time. And who was that one producer that he's got that little wisdom nugget?
Rick Rubin?
The Rick Rubin, man. You know, you YouTube some of his stuff, man. He's got some really cool things that he goes by. But he's like, the best thing an artist can do for their fans is to write honestly what they want to write, not writing for the fans or for any record sale, but they write what they want to hear. And I feel like that you have that, and I can tell you've been doing that, and you do have your own voice, man, and you can hear little influences and stuff. And I think every great artist has that, where they're paying homage in a little way with the edge, maybe that you would borrow some of his little tactics, maybe, but through you, it sifts through you and it comes out as your own voice, man. And I just think it shows that you've been doing this for a long time, and you write great songs, man. Just want to let you know that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah,
man, really good stuff.
It's so true what you're saying, and it's no different than like doing something just to make people like you, because then you're at the whim of. Then
you're pandering and shit, and it's all kind of awkward. Well,
even
and then,
pandering,
you know,
but like aside from that, like people don't know what they like fucking half the time,
right? Well,
you know?
if you, I'll quote Chris Nix here, because Chris is full of wisdom nuggets. If you hate it, and then the audience doesn't like it, nobody likes it.
That's true.
Like you gotta love what you do. Like you gotta love it, and if you find an audience that loves it, then everybody wins.
That's true.
That's
a great thing to say.
Yeah, I just stopped caring. I mean, I did consider an audience at one point in my career, and I was very self-conscious about, are people going to like this, or and that's not a way to create. You just got to freely put your stuff down and hope that somebody that likes what you like is gonna see something in your music and is going to like it and is going to dig it and is going to sort of fall into that little.
It's more authentic that way.
Yeah, authentic.
It's more real. The problem with a lot of things now is that things are diluted. And they're always a little bit diluted, you know what I mean? But like, it's hard to, you're always looking for somebody that is more authentic, that can just, like Kurt Cobain. When Kurt Cobain came out, he's
such a great example of like artistry,
and through like the whole industry, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's been other people since then, but I think he was like the biggest one at the time.
Yeah, I just think the honesty in that guy's music is what makes people go back, and it resonates and it connects with people. And I just think it's so important to be fearless that way. And making music and creating something out of your head, out of your soul. It's scary for a lot of people, and I don't think a lot of people can do it honestly. And when you find somebody that can do it honestly, you could tell.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
well, thanks, man.
So good job on that.
It means a lot.
Good job on that.
You.
Hell yeah.
I took the same approach with the podcast. I promised myself at the outset that I was going to be as honest and as vulnerable as possible, as real as possible. If there's a if there was a moment in my history, which there was, or a few of them, where I was a complete shitheel, then I'm owning it.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it. I think it lends more credibility to the rest of the stories if I'm admitting to people that I was a fucking asshole back then, and I was.
Well, and credibility is something that goes a long way. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with authenticity. Credibility. I mean, that's how you get credibility, is by being honest.
These stories only work if I'm completely laid bare, and I get into all sorts of things. I mean, there's some fun stuff in there. There's some pretty heavy shit in there too. There's there's about 3 episodes that are get the tissues. But then the rest of it, I know there's some funny shit.
There really is.
So it's it's a lot like life, you know? And so that's my goal. And I'm kind of told DA off the mic earlier, I'm closing in on the end of the podcast. I'm closing in on I think it's going to top out at about 15 episodes.
Okay. Maybe that's just your first season.
Well, maybe I don't have any more stories. So, I mean, I'll have to go live a whole nother lifetime's worth of shit. I don't have time for that. I don't know what's next. I don't know. I told DA I feel that there's something special with this podcast. Again, it's weird for me to be talking about something in a medium has nothing. Well, not that it has nothing to do with music, but it's really not about my music. It's a story. It's about me. It's just it's a very strange place to be talking about that kind of thing. But I feel like this has the potential to reach a wider audience just because it has universal appeal.
Sure.
It's an underdog story. I'm the underdog and have been my whole life. So I guess we'll see. I don't know what's coming next. I mean, nobody knows what's coming next, but I don't know what's coming next. So I don't know. I'm just going to keep plowing forward till the end of this whole thing, and then we'll see.
That's the only thing that you can do. And I know that it's probably been a little, cathartic and to release some of these stories and emotions. But I think that's also what people do resonate with that.
Yeah, I hope so.
They do. And I think that there's something to be said for that, whether you're a musician or you're someone that's moving to Nashville or you're a rock person or a country person, it doesn't matter. I think that you can see a lot of the wisdom and the humor in your podcast. I
like I said, I hope so. And I've actually, again, on a side note, I've actually processed some of these things that didn't realize that I didn't process, and went through some pretty emotional upheavals because these are things that I just never processed in my life. Some of the more hard things, I was reliving it essentially, listening to it again and just reliving it. But the good news is I've processed it now.
Yep. It's out there.
So yeah,
it's another form of art.
It's been incredibly cathartic. So,
and it's another form of art. And I think that that's really cool. Well, I know that you probably have things to do tonight and we've kept you here for a while. We've now made you do this twice.
That's okay. I'll do it again.
This will be good though. But next time you just got to come and hang out for real.
Yeah.
And maybe
Anytime.
y'all play some guitar. Maybe y'all just hang out. Super Bowl's coming up. You never know.
You never know. Yeah.
If anybody's going to do that.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming over.
Yeah, of course.
This was great. Love talking about your background, your podcast. We're going to list everything down at the bottom, but
Cool.
Where can we find you again for your podcast and your music?
You can find me on all platforms of the podcasting universe. Under Rock and Roll War Stories.
I love it.
You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Michael J, MISTER, don't abbreviate it. MISTER, MICHAEL, letter J. I don't know who this McKeel guy is, this MICHEAL guy. He follows me around. I'm not McKeel, I'm Michael, MICHAEL. So Mr. Michael J. Also Mr. Michael J on TikTok. And Facebook, you kind of have to be my friend in order to be on my Facebook.
That's fair.
And what about your MySpace page? Anything new on there?
MySpace page. I'm working on updating that. I'm just working on my song player for that right now. I'm trying to get
your top 10
I'm trying to get my top 10 list.
Oh, and your top 8 friends
Top
or
8.
10
Yeah.
friends, whatever that was.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to all my MySpace friends out there. All right, including Tom.
Yeah,
All right.
Tom. He was my first friend.
Tom,
Yeah, he's a
my
good
God.
dude.
It's been a long time.
All right.
Love that platform. Okay, Michael, it was good to
Cheers.
talk to you. Cheers.
Thank you so much.
See you
Cheers,
next time.
yo. All right.
See ya.
Bye.
Hey, you've just watched or listened to another episode of Nashville on the Rocks. If you like what we do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And don't forget to follow us on all of our socials and on your favorite podcast streaming apps. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.